All right, here we go, guys. Finance Fridays, and it's not even Friday today. It's Saturday. Grand Prix LA today. It's me, Daniel, with VintageMagic.com. Got my friend Kai. What's up, man?
How you guys doing?
All right, so a little louder. Louder.
Louder.
There he is. All right.
Hi, live and direct. That's like hi with the K in front, but spelled a little bit differently.
Kai, are you Asian?
Inundated and affiliated. My sister is actually Asian. I am not though.
But Kai is an Asian name.
Kai is a universal name.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right, so today's video, Finance Fridays, I wanted to wait until Saturday because I want to meet up with Kai. Kai and I have met online. We went on dates on Match.com. Actually, we talked about his interesting situation. And this situation, I think, hits home to a lot of you guys. Kai will introduce himself, but he has a very interesting story where, you know, went to college, has lots of student debt. You know, student debt is very expensive these days. Lives in the Bay Area, which is very expensive. Is it expensive to live in? What do you think?
It's pretty expensive in the Bay Area, I would agree.
Very expensive. He makes 6 figures plus, but there's an issue, right? So Kai, why don't you introduce yourself first? What's going on?
Sure.
Who are you?
Sure. Hi everybody, as Daniel mentioned, I am a Bay-destrian, an affectionate way of saying I live in the Bay Area, Warriors all day, and I'm somebody who got involved playing Magic, growing up with Magic since middle school. I'm that one guy out of my group of friends who happened to retain his collection of cards. It's something that I've kept since that time. I got back into playing as I was in school, looking for some other kind of creative ways to spend my time. And really what's going on with me is that now I have this collection all the way back from middle school. I've been adding to it over the years since I started playing again, and really in the last maybe 2 or 3 years I got more interested in the prospect of collecting and investing. I reached out to Daniel because I'm interested in learning how do I basically organize my collection, what am I looking out for, and really what am I thinking about in terms of growing it and possibly leveraging it as a potential nest egg. And that's why we're connected, and that's why we're talking about finances on a Saturday for Finance Friday.
Finance, we gotta figure out another name for the Saturdays or something. All right, so Kai, that's great. Kai has a very interesting thing. We talked about this before. You talked about obviously when you go to college these days, right? Student loans is ridiculous.
Right.
Absolutely flipping ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, why are you investing or why are you collecting in Magic if you have student loan debt?
Sure.
Sure. I mean, what's causing you to still do it? Because that's a lot of stress, right?
Right.
I mean, tell everybody that's stress. Why do you still do it?
Right. So just for transparency, I have significant student loans to the point where it's basically like a mortgage for your house. My payments per month are what most people would, probably more than what most people would pay in rent, just for living expenses. So that's.
Did you say your profession?
My profession is I'm in the legal profession.
So you imagine, guys, legal stuff, doctor stuff. We're talking expensive student loans.
Expensive student loans.
You live in the Bay Area.
I live in the Bay Area.
One of the most, if not the most expensive place to live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been going up like crazy.
Yeah.
Small towns have been turned upside down, and really, I got to a point where this is kind of rich dad, poor dad principles. How do you have your money make money for you? Now, I'm somebody who, I think back in 6th grade, we had a class where our one of our classes, they asked us to make an investment, like hypothetical stock market investments. And they said really the best way to start investing in something new in a marketplace you don't understand, buy some company stock where you're just attracted and interested in the company. Now, I'm not interested in investing in the stock market, even though it is a very profitable way to invest for a lot of different people. But I don't get excited or energized about company investments in the same way I do about this game that, again, has this very nostalgic and sentimental value for me because I've been attached to it since I was a child. So here I am trying to really just leverage something that I know something about, right? And that I'm actually gravitating towards more naturally than I would the stock market. So you know, how do I kind of line up, you know, what has again been a game for me, captured my imagination, my fascination. Now how do I basically mature my relationship with those cards in a way where I'm not just playing with it, and we talked about this a little bit, which I think this is a fascinating question. If you haven't been asked that, you know, what is your identity as it relates to Magic?
Yep.
You know, and you can say what you asked me, it's are you
a collector, an investor, what are you?
Or a player.
So what are you? Are you a
Right.
collector?
Right.
One of my videos was, are you a collector, investor, or player?
Right.
Kai has identified himself as?
Definitely a small-time player, big collector. That's probably the most prominent identity that I would associate myself with.
Everything about you is about nostalgia. Show them that Jordan tattoo. Where's that at? Where's that at?
That's on the cat.
Oh.
Can y'all see this?
Here you go. You see this? Yeah. Yep. See that? Explain.
Go Gadget Jump, man. I rubbed that in my
Alright, so
dunk.
now you guys are seeing his calf. Jesus. You got hairy ass legs. What's going on here?
Hey, thank you, man.
It's like a strip club.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Alright, Kai, what's going on with the Jordan tattoo? Explain that. It's not Michael Jordan, is it? What's going on?
So, I mean, it is the Jumpman tattoo, and I guess, you know, what am I explaining is why did I even get this Jumpman tattoo?
Yeah.
So, Jordan wasn't my favorite player growing up. I was always a big basketball fan, but I had one of my best friends growing up was a sneaker freaker, diehard Jordan fan. I mean, this guy lived and breathed Jordan, and purely from his eccentricity, I got interested in paying attention to Jordan. Like, why is this dude so interested in Jordan? I've tended to be like that in life.
Yeah.
When people are really crazy and into something, it opens up my eyes to learn more about whatever that subject matter is, just because somebody's so passionate. I did that with Jordan.
You guys hear this passion? Jeez,
you gotta have the passion. Hey, it's gotta be natural.
So Magic is extremely passionate to you, nostalgic, right?
Absolutely. You know?
So this guy obviously fits in the collector, player mentality. You enjoy. Recently, he had this Mox Pearl, unlimited Mox Pearl. He traded into like an altered Eric Klug, the Eternal Weekend Mox Pearl guys. You guys know what that is. Eric Klug drew an alter on a Mox Pearl, and he traded for that card. But to him, the artwork speaks to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this game is not just. So guys, in the investor mentality, remember what I said. If you're looking to make a profit and that's really your MO, you are basically just truly an investor.
Right.
But at least he's admitting it. He's admitting his addiction, because really what the reality is, he wants to buy cards he can play with. He's not even sure if he wants to sell them yet.
Right.
Now he wants to sell them if he has to.
If I have to, yeah.
But
definitely a leverage. Right?
As leverage, but he doesn't want them to be worthless as a collector, right? Collectors, you basically want to collect, you want to complete stuff, you want to make sets, you want to make decks.
Right.
But you want them not to be worth zero, but you want them to be worth what they are. Even if they went down a little bit, you're like, oh, who cares? I enjoyed it.
Sure, absolutely.
Right?
Enjoy the ride.
So even if it went down a little bit, you'd be like, oh, I still had fun.
Right.
See, an investor would be like, fuck, man, I should have just sold this thing. What am I doing?
It's bottom line.
It's
all
bottom
the time.
line, bottom line, bottom
all
line.
All the time, yeah.
And you can't, for Magic, it's not there yet.
No, not for me. Not for me.
So when I talked to this guy on the phone about investing, I already knew. I knew you weren't ready. Because there's still this fanboy mentality, kind of like when you go to Marvel and, you know, Comic-Con or whatever. This guy, he went to his first Grand Prix for a long time.
Yeah.
At GP Sacramento.
Yep.
How was that? Tell him about that.
Actually, one of the coolest things, actually really two cool things in GP Sacramento. Meeting, you know, like mixing it up with the dealers again, coming from like being removed from that professional, more mature Magic world where now all of a sudden you're talking to dealers, you're reality testing the value of your cards. You know, like I said, I made that trade for that Eric Klug card. So I have fun, especially with a particular collector investor, just kind of, you know, exchanging
the interactions, right?
Yeah.
So does that make you, like, you enjoy that aspect?
I mean, it's like if I go into a Nordstrom's, let's say.
Yeah.
Right?
Nordstrom's.
Right?
You go to Nordstrom's?
I like Nordstrom's.
You shop for high
heels? They have a
heels?
great return policy. How can you not like Nordstrom's? They're all about customer service. You know?
There you go.
And that's the aspect, is like you want the whole entire start to finish experience to be like a limo ride. You want it to be smooth. And in that sense, it's not just buying the card. Do I feel good with my experience of buying the card?
So it's the camaraderie.
It's the camaraderie, it's exchanging war stories. You know, we trade in war stories like Pac said. it's just, you know, mixing it up with somebody who you can relate to, comes from clearly a place where they liked something that wasn't as mainstream as, let's say, you know, established sports, right?
Right.
And I played those too, but totally different when you can relate with people from this very intellectual, kind of curious mindset. You know, as you mentioned earlier, this one particular card, I like the artwork. I like quotes on cards. It might just be this particular edition, you know, you have memories playing with a certain set, you know. I think it's great that people are getting together and they're playing games strictly where you can only use the old cards. Not even vintage, it's strictly the old cards.
Right.
So stuff like that, I get excited about hearing people talk about their experiences. And I think the other thing I really enjoyed about Grand Prix was meeting Mark Poole and Mark Poole's agent. That was great because, you know,
Mark Poole's a cool guy.
It's cool. You know, I'm not going up there to, you know, have him like, you know, sign my like shirt or, you know, give me a tattoo on my face. I'm just saying like, hey, Mark, you know, I grew up, and as somebody, you know, like you said, fanboy, you know, I never thought of myself as a fanboy, but now that you say it, I guess that's how I was in that situation.
Well, it's okay.
I met this guy where it's like, I grew up with your artwork, man. Like, these cards, like, man, these have been with me for like 20 plus years. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that you came up in the game with Magic and it's exploded, and you never did it for that reason. You didn't do it for the fame, for the attention, influence, or relevance. You did it because, you know, here is this very creative endeavor that you had an opportunity to be a part of, and you got something out of it for sure, but you've stayed with it in this very intimate way and grew up with it, which is really cool to watch and talk to somebody who can share that perspective. It's just getting different perspectives.
All right, so you notice what's going on here. I posed the question, he's kind of avoided the question the entire time about the financial aspects. So you understand something, what's going on, guys, is that many of you guys have financial debt in college or life. But Magic is kind of that alcohol in a way to some people, that addiction. And in a way, it's like it's a luxury item, but it's entertainment.
Sure.
It's a relationship that brings two people together. And even though times might be tough or whatever, it still brings up these great stories.
Totally.
So I'm gonna ask you in a different way this time.
Right.
Do you ever think about the future in terms of like student loans, all that stuff, and how it relates to Magic in terms of money, or do you just don't care about that, or you like what's really the idea here? For that, I mean, address the financial side. You're going to have to, right?
Sure.
So how are you going to tackle that? People want to know, how will you tackle that?
So I'm fortunate where I had, you know, some established baseline of cards. I had a collection again from
so
back
not
in
zero,
the day.
not
zero. So I had some, not none. I also had some resources, some financial resources at my disposal where if I chose to do so, I could grow and expand my collection. Now, if I have to think about, you know, if it's a cost-benefit analysis and I'm thinking about taking my financial investment out of one, you know, sector or enterprise and putting it into another, what's the consideration for it? Is it all driven purely by financial motives? Do I want to maximize that? Do I want, you know, the safe and cautious route where basically people who, you know, have gone through life are older and wiser, so they claim, say, hey, this is the path, this is the way, I know the way, and let me share it with you? Or do I honestly just want to spend my time, you know, developing, you know, my acumen around something, again, that I derive some personal satisfaction with? So for me, really, it was, I want to have a connection with whatever I put my money into, and with Magic, you know, there is that element where you can actually, you know, it's not like a certificate of stock where you just literally are like, yeah, now people watch markets and they enjoy, you know, the fluctuation in the markets and having to make very, you know, hyper analytical decisions around how they invest. Now, Magic is just like that too. It has the ups and downs, you know, the different kind of trends of these different cards, what's in, what's out, all that kind of stuff. But you can also play with it, right? So there's that fundamental distinction with investing in Magic where you can get some, you know, there's a utilitarian factor out of it that you get, that you can't get with other things. But in addition to that, I'll say one last thing, if you don't mind. For me, my overriding consideration is like, I'm not going to invest in Magic because I got to, you know, maximize the return on whatever financial dollars I'm putting into it. It's just about creating options for me. So with it, that context in mind that I'm interested in learning about the Magic marketplace. I'm interested in the cards for the play value. It's, well, okay, if I ever do have to sell this type of stuff, I want to be savvy about it.
Sure.
But I want to do it, you know, ultimately because it's not I have to sell these cards.
Right.
It's I have an option now if I choose to do so.
And they're worth something.
And they're worth something.
Yeah.
They're growing. They're appreciating. I'm following the market. I do pay attention. I'm expanding the way that I reality test. I'm going to more in-person events like this GP.
Right.
You know, like mixing up with Daniel here. But I watch a lot online too. I see how much is going on online. So I'm obviously naturally investing my time and energy into it.
All right, Kai, this is great. So, guys, I come to this conclusion. I think what's going on is this, and I think I may have said this before, but I'll say it in a different way. Magic has become like leasing a nice car. Okay, follow me here. When you lease a car, that goes down in value. After 5 years, 10 years, whatever, how long you lease multiple cars, the shit's worthless. But in Magic, what's really interesting with collectors and players is that these cards are actually worth more.
Right.
After 5-10 years, they're worth incredible amounts of money.
Right.
So what Kai is basically saying, what all Magic players are basically doing in a way is that from this side of it, not investing, is they're saying, hey, look, I want the nostalgia, I want the drugs, I want to feel good about the game, I want to play, I want to meet the artists, I want to do all the altars, I want to collect stuff.
Yeah.
But I want the stuff to be worth something, what I paid for, and if it's worth more, great. But the memories are worth more in the end. As long as that financially they're worth something, it's like I'm leasing a Ferrari. And
get out of jail card.
Get out of jail. It just keeps going up anyway.
Yeah, right.
And that to me, my friends, is, I think this is the story, what's going on, is that Kai is a great example of, I have debt, I live in an expensive area, but in the ride, I still want to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, enjoy the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's all we got for today, guys. Put a comment below. Kai, thanks again, man.
Hey, my man.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.